things, but none of them, not even Iverson or Jordan, shot the three as effectively, as frequently. I mean, how many times does Joker just raise up over a guy like Anthony Davis, my God, and he's able to shoot the three? We saw it over LeBron. They didn't have that. Nobody had that. I mean, Olajuwon didn't try, 2 or 3 of those a year, if that? But yes, because you're also talking about the passing and the assist numbers, Greedy. So if you add those two together, there were very willing, capable, able passers among those bigs, and Bill Walton and Kareem, and yes, Wilt. But they didn't have the two together like Joker has now.
Yeah, the question sort of comes from the fact this game, too. On our opening tip tonight, the mile matters, meaning a mile high, it makes a difference. This Denver team does not lose at home. That's where Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, the second pair of teammates to eat for the most in a finals game by a center all time. And so, Mr. Wilbon, I will start with you because I like coming to you on these historical perspective questions. Nikola Jokic is a 7'1" point guard. He can pass, he can shoot, and he has a basketball mind like a computer. Is it reasonable to say that he is among already the most unstoppable players we've ever seen?
I like that. Greedy, thanks for coming to me on the historical points. It just means you think I'm old, which is true. Even though he doesn't have a signature shot or move. There's no Kareem skyhook. There's no Olajuwon dream shake. There's
Joel Embiid, a healthy and consistent Anthony Davis. We'd like to see that too. But in the end, Jokic is here, and we know what he can do because he's doing it.
I'm going to get back to y'all later.
Yeah.
Okay, because the answer to this question is an emphatic no.
no.
He is not the most unstoppable player ever.
No, not most.
Well, up there. The question on the screen is most.
With the others,
I softened it just a
no,
tad
he is not
myself.
most. The question on the screen is no. The answer to that is
no.
Okay,
I agree with that.
Because he's not with Kareem. He's not with a lot of people. No.
Right, because it
But does
reminded
he belong in the discussion with them?
He's worked his way into that conversation by winning.
He wasn't even looking to score, and yet he was dominating the game.
Well, listen, the man is brilliant. He's a savant on the basketball court. Like I tell you before, he's slow, he's big, he looks slow rather. He's big, he can't jump onto a curb. That's a fact. And you still cannot stop him. I just have to marvel at the greatness, his footwork, his basketball IQ, his passing ability, because he has already established himself as a threat on multiple levels. You find yourself guarding him, but looking at the damage he's going to cause by facilitating for others, as opposed to just looking to score himself. And that's what makes him so lethal. You got to give credit where credit is due in that regard. When you're going up against some of the other bigs, like a healthy Joel Embiid, I'd like to see him up against
Finals, being a center that leads the playoffs in triple-doubles. But I want to show you his brilliant passing ability and what makes him different from a lot of the guys that we talked about. Stephen A. just mentioned, dominating the game without scoring. He only took 5 shot attempts before the fourth quarter. So Wilbon, here's his signature. Dropping dimes.
Yeah,
like Magic's was,
yes.
like Jason Kidd's was, like Steve Nash's was. That's his signature. He don't have a dream shake, but he has a dream dropping these dimes, leaving the paint wide open for his players around him to be great. But again, like I was thinking, the Dream won the championship twice when I got in the league, back-to-back. Then Tim Duncan, then Kobe and Shaq won 3 straight. So it's been some very dominant players, but this is something very unique because he's doing it as a passer and as a center.
No question about it. And you got to give credit where credit is due. And we see how formidable he is offensively. Defensively, obviously, is a different challenge because he's not nearly as potent defensively as some of the great big men in the history of the game. Even when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wanted to amp it up, he could amp it up defensively. The same with Wilt. We know there's no debate about Bill Russell. Of course, Shaquille O'Neal had his moments, although the late, great Kobe Bryant, at times, he would rake his nerves how,
with size are there in today's NBA? Couple? Very few. Whereas you used to always see that anchor.
Yeah.
Either, first of all, at the 5, and then at power forward. The word power forward is now stretch 4. So Jokic, just like those players weren't asked to do the things that Jokic now does, Jokic is not asked to do the things that centers had to do for 50 years in the NBA.
Fair, Wilbon, but we can't take away from, and this is the operative word here, touch. The fact of the matter is that this dude throws up shots over his head, for crying out loud, and somehow they go in. You just see the guy shoot the ball, his touch. Jokic has never been in the discussion as a formidable defender. So because he's not even in that discussion, we have to take that into consideration when we're trying to measure his greatness against other big men who have blessed the game of basketball. We can't ignore that reality.
The thing is, because of the era in which he plays, and all these things must be taken in that context, he does things that the others, it's not that they couldn't, they weren't asked. It wouldn't have occurred to them to try and do that because the game was played so differently. He may be the first of what we start to see. We may someday look back at it and say, Jokic started something, and this is what the league now looks for going forward.
I was talking to Alonzo Mourning last night, and we were talking about play in general. Jokic, yes, was the context, but the league doesn't want that anymore. It doesn't allow that.
You have to take that into consideration. No matter whether you're big or small or whatever, his touch is undeniable.
See, the very uniqueness is that he's a 7-footer, but he's also getting you double figures assists. So we've seen that happen. Wilt Chamberlain led the league in assists before.
Yes.
He averaged 50 points and 25 boards. Hakeem Olajuwon and Stephen A., you were talking about some defensive guys, flirted with quadruple doubles. He was a point center who sprayed the ball out, and when the stretch force first started in the modern day, Hakeem Olajuwon and Shaq, they were the interior players doing it. But this guy making threes is just taking it to a total different level, putting up arcade-type numbers.
And so, again, Nikola Jokic have for an answer.
Second most all-time.
The second most all-time already. Bam on a...
Not an Iverson crossover. There's